Hey guys, welcome back. Hey, I'm going to kind of share with you guys my adoption story. I actually got into blogging to do this, and then I kind of just got sidetracked with everything else that's going on in the world and all these other current issues. Adoption's not really like on the front of anybody's mind. So I'm kind of trying to get myself back into that and kind of start to talk about it because I really think it's something that needs to be talked about and nobody's really talking about it. Spoiler alert, for those of you guys who don't know, I am adopted. And on top of that, I'm also transracially adopted. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it basically means that the race of the adoptee is not the same as the race as the adoptive parents. In 99.99% of the cases, it's usually a person of color that's being adopted by a white family. And that's the case with me. I'm Black. My family is white. It really kind of stems a lot of what I talk about in my experiences. I'm where the name Only Black Girl came from because I was literally the only Black girl, not even the only Black girl, like the Black person, like everywhere, like literally everywhere in the entire fucking city. I just kind of want to share that with you guys. This is going to be a very like edited down version of this because honestly there's a lot of things that I could talk about my adoption experience. It could go on for probably a week-long video, but this is really just going to kind of skim the surface. I'm going to talk to you kind of about the basics about my family, and then kind of like really basic stuff about my experiences being adopted. That being said, I guess I'll kind of just start at the beginning. So I was adopted as a newborn. I was ready to be adopted before I was even born. So this was something that was like my birth mother was pregnant with me and she knows she couldn't keep me. She went and, you know, they all did all this adoption thing. So I was going to be adopted. She actually picked my parents out. My adoptive parents out. She knew that she wanted them to adopt me. That all happened. And so it was basically like I was born and 3 days later I was with my adoptive parents. My birth family is from Texas, so that's where I was born. However, I was raised in Washington State, in the Olympia, Washington area. Olympia is the capital. It's not Seattle. You guys should learn a map. Moving on to my family. My family is now comprised of 8 people, 2 parents, and 6 kids. The 3 oldest boys are biological to my parents, so they are white. I was the first one adopted. I was adopted at birth. So it was my 3 older brothers and me, and then when I was 6 years old, I believe, we adopted my younger brother, who was also Black, and he was adopted from Portland, Oregon, around about 13, 14-ish, I think, is when we adopted my sister, Maza, who's from Ethiopia. The 3 older white brothers who are biological to my parents, obviously, and then there's me and 2 younger siblings, and we're all Black. Apart from that, my extended family on my mom's side, we have a lot of adopted people in my family. So on my mom's side, we have a huge family. We have like 28 cousins. I think it's like up to 30 something cousins. I don't even fucking know. We have like 28 cousins on my mother's side. So on my mom's side, we have a huge family. We have like 28 cousins. I think it's like up to 30 something cousins. I don't even fucking know. We have like 28 cousins on my mother's side. I lose count, honestly. I believe it's like 14 of us are adopted. So kids who are adopted from Taiwan, and 8 kids who are 6 of them are from Ethiopia and the other 2 are from the States. So we have a huge family and we have a lot of adopted people in our family as well. So adoptive culture is just kind of something that's normal to me. Growing up in a multicultural family, I guess, is normal to me. However, it wasn't very multiculturally supportive, I guess, which kind of leads me into my experiences growing up Black in a white family. One of the biggest questions people always ask me is like, when did you realize you were Black? My answer to that is literally always. As a child, I mean, I really remember like 4 or 5 years old, I would remember being like, at that time, I didn't know what was happening, so I couldn't put words to the feelings that I had. But, you know, looking back now, it's like, it's scary. It's scary looking around you and being like, well, why am I the only person here that looks like this? This is a little creepy. Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just like, and it's not even like I was able to look around me or walk down the street or, you know, go to the church or go to school and see that, oh, there's other people who look like me. No, there was none. There was literally nobody. Like, I was the only Black person around. You know, that experience is kind of scary and made me feel a lot isolated. I'm not even gonna front. It didn't feel a little isolated. It was it's really uncomfortable. It makes you feel out of place to like issues with transracial families, which can be, honestly, I'm gonna probably make a whole nother video of this, but a lot of it is that there's not enough support of the child's culture. And what I mean by that is like, there wasn't necessarily like, oh, we're going to erase your blackness, but there was no celebrating of it either. There was no discussions about race and color. There was no discussions about, hey, you know what? It's pretty fucking cool that you're black too. Look at all these awesome black people. Like, that was never a thing. It was never like, hey, let's also celebrate Martin Luther King Day or Black History Month. No, we're just going to celebrate all the white holidays and celebrate our white culture side of it. We're going to celebrate our Danish culture. It's like, that's cool. And still to this day, I love our tradition as a family, but at the same time, I'm not Danish. I'm not white. I can't relate to that stuff. I love it. I relate to it because my family's with it and it's cool, but at the same time, that's not me, you know what I mean? So I think one of the big things is that families need to learn how to incorporate everybody in there. If you're truly going to have a multicultural family, you need to incorporate all of the cultures in there. I was missing, so that made me feel even more left out and isolated from my family, because it's like, okay, I get it, I'm the only black person in this family right now, but on top of that, if somebody had had that conversation and been like, hey, you know what, let's show our black kids in this family that they matter too, let's talk about these cultures and everything else and celebrate them too, I think that would have made a huge difference, but that didn't happen. And I don't think it's necessarily something that happens on purpose. I just think that as white people and their white privilege, that's not even something that registers that they should happen. There's so many people who want to be colorblind or like, oh, we're just going to raise them like everybody else and we're just going to love them and give them a family, which is great, but there's more that needs to happen with that. Love my family to death, like ride or fucking die, you mess with my family, I'm gonna fucking kill you. But at the same time, even still to this day, I just feel like there's a missing connection that I have with my family that I know that my biological family has with each other, because they're biological and that's fine. But at the same time, you know, not only am I adopted, I'm also black. And I still feel like we're working on it today. I feel like we're working on a lot more as we're adults, but growing up, that connection or that kind of shared interest of culture and race, it just wasn't there. Not just in my immediate family, but our entire extended family. And I definitely think that's something we need to work on, because there's a lot of fucking diversity in our family, but we only celebrate the white side of it. And that's a problem. Like I said, for the first 6 years, I was the only black person with my family. So it was like anytime we left the house, I was the token. And it wasn't because my family made me the token. It was because I was the only one who wasn't white. So everybody wanted to know how this could happen. How could there possibly be this one black girl in this entire family of white people? How could that happen? So it was always like, oh, look at your little brown baby. Look at her. Let's touch her. And oh my God. Oh. And it would make anybody uncomfortable, especially a child. We don't know what the fuck is happening. Like, why is everybody touching me? Why is everybody crowded out around me like I'm a fucking petting zoo? And my mom learned how to do my hair at a very young. My mom was doing my hair since I was a baby. She learned how to braid and cornrow and do the beads, and she does black hair better than I do, honestly. My hair was always done, so of course that made people want to touch me even more, because I had my braids with the little beads in, and I'd be shaking my head and everything. Everybody's like, oh, let's go. Oh, can I touch your hair? Oh my God, like, oh yes, look at the beads. Oh my, can you shake your head? It felt like I was in a fucking minstrel show, to be honest. Like, it was like I was just here to entertain these random ass white people. That was most of my childhood growing up. When I got to high school, it was a little bit better. I at least started seeing more people that looked like me. Talk to other people, I was able to actually start feeling comfortable, because I was like, oh my gosh, even though I don't know black culture because I've never been in it, I automatically feel at home, because I just felt I couldn't explain how I felt comfortable, but I felt comfortable around my people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I hadn't grown up in black culture. I just knew it was home, because I just got there and I instantly was comfortable. I was like, oh my God, these are my people. These are my interests. These are the things that I can relate to. I can't relate to my family's Danish side. I mean, that's cool for y'all, but that on meeting a more diverse group of people. I actually had black people. I could talk to black people my age, and from there I started to learn about black culture. I started to be immersed in black culture, because all of a sudden I was around black people. Throughout high school was kind of my rediscovering of myself as a black woman, finding that place of where I belong. And then when I went to community college is where I really started to get into like the deep nitty-gritty issues. Childhood was basically, what is going on? I feel really fucking uncomfortable. I love my family, but there's a disconnect here, because I don't connect with what they're doing. I don't connect with what they're celebrating, what they're prideful of, whatever it is. If there's a disconnect, I love them, but there's a fucking disconnect, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable. To go into high school was like, oh, this is why there's a disconnect, because there's a whole other community out there that I actually fit into and celebrates who I am as a person. So, and then after that was like putting the two together and finding the words to say that, and then being able to actually talk about what it was that was making me uncomfortable. So when I first went in there, it was like people who were talking about, people were talking about the things that I'd always thought in my head that I didn't know how to voice, or I felt uncomfortable voicing. Things like, it's really fucking uncomfortable when I'm the only person who looks like me in my class, and everybody wants to call on me to speak for my race. Like, that's something that made me uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to say that, or I felt like, well, maybe I'm overreacting. You know what I mean? But then you go into these places like my diversity center, and it was like, oh my god, I'm not the only fucking person who feels that way. I'm not the only person who's really awkward, feels really fucking awkward when the teacher talks about slavery and everybody swivels the chair around to look at you. I'm like, made me the spokesperson for slavery, bitch. Like, and it was there that I was able to actually start processing these feelings and processing and talking about these things to people who understood what I was talking about, because we all grew up in Washington, which was predominantly white place, and we all had these similar experiences. I was like, oh my god, thank you. I'm not the only fucking person going through this. And through there, I got more vocal about my experiences. I started talking and started teaching workshops and started meeting people with other experiences. And from there, I just grew and just expanded from there. And now I'm here. So kind of the very short version of it. I'm definitely going to make more videos about this and my experiences. Thanks for watching, and follow me all over the interwebs, because I'm everywhere, and keep up with all my shenanigans and shit talking. So bye.